The Hargrove mansion loomed like a solitary titan against the Miami skyline, its sleek white walls and expansive glass windows reflecting the relentless sun that baked the surrounding palm trees into a hazy mirage. The estate sprawling across acres of manicured lawns that had once danced with the laughter of family gatherings, now overgrown with weeds that whispered of neglect. Its 15 bedrooms and 10 bathrooms standing as silent witnesses to a life unraveling the air inside thick with the musty scent of disuse and the faint tang of salt water carried from the nearby beach, where tragedy had struck Victor Hargrove, a 38-year-old billionaire tech mogul whose fortune had been forged in the fires of innovative software that revolutionized global markets, sat hunched over his desk in a high-rise office overlooking the city, his sharp features shadowed by exhaustion and guilt. The hum of his computer, a stark contrast to the chaos that reigned in his personal life, his mind drifting back to the moment that had shattered his world. Elena, his vibrant wife of 10 years, lost to a sudden boating accident during a rare family outing, the boat capsizing in a storm she had insisted on braving to surprise him with a belated anniversary celebration. Her final words, a loving shout lost to the waves, leaving Victor with 3 7-year-old triplets, Alex, the defiant leader, with a scowl that could silence a room. Ben, the introspective one, who retreated into silence, and Chris, the mischievous spark, whose pranks hid a tender heart. Boys who had once filled the mansion with joy, but now turned it into a battleground of grief. Their mother's absence, a gaping wound that fueled a rebellion against the string of 19 maids who had fled in the past 6 months. Each departure, marked by tales of flooded bathrooms, hidden heirlooms and furniture, rearranged into fortresses of defiance. Victor burying himself in work to escape the accusations in his son's eyes. The guilt gnawing at him that Elena's rush to please him had cost her life, his days stretching into late nights at the office where blueprints and code offered solace, his nights haunted by the empty mansion where the triplets' chaos echoed like a war drum. The latest incident involving Alex leading a charge to dump a bucket of shrimp from the kitchen onto the living room carpet. Ben barricading himself in his room with Elena's old scarves, and Chris rigging a pulley system to drop glitter over the departing maid. Number 19, a scene that had left Victor staring at the wreckage with a mix of despair and helplessness. His $3 billion net worth, a hollow shield against the emotional ruin of his family, prompting him to draft a desperate ad on a private hiring platform offering triple the usual salary for a maid willing to endure challenging children. The words carefully chosen to mask the truth. He couldn't admit that his sons were drowning in grief. He couldn't reach. The ad drawing a trickle of responses that dwindled as word spread of the Hargrove terrors, Victor sifting through applications with a growing sense of futility until a profile caught his eye. Maya Thompson, 32 years old, black, with a resume listing years in group homes. After losing her family young, her application devoid of fluff, simply stating a commitment to service and resilience, her lack of curiosity about his wealth or past, a rare anomaly that piqued his interest, leading him to schedule an interview, despite the nagging doubt that this too would end in failure. And so it was that on a sweltering afternoon with the ocean breeze carrying the distant cry of gulls, Maya arrived at the mansion stepping out of a modest sedan with a canvas tote bag slung over her shoulder, her dark hair pulled back in a practical bun, her eyes steady as they met the security camera at the gate, pressing the buzzer with a confidence that belied her unassuming appearance. Victor watching from the control room where monitors flickered with every angle of the property, his breath catching as she entered. Without hesitation, the front door opening to reveal a scene of utter pandemonium. Alex wielding a pillow like a weapon, feathers exploding into the air, Ben hurling a toy boat across the room, and Chris perched on a chandelier with a jar of jam. The elegant living room transformed into a battlefield of strewn cushions and sticky streaks. Maya, standing frozen for a moment in the doorway, her expression shifting from shock to a quiet understanding as she took in the chaos. Victor rushing down the grand staircase, his polished shoes clicking against the marble, his voice sharp with frustration. What is this mess, only to stop short as Maya turned to him, her gaze calm but piercing, saying softly, "They're hurting Mr. Hargrove. And this is how they're screaming for help," the words hitting him like a physical blow, his mind flashing to Elena's smile, her voice urging him to be patient with the boys, a memory he had buried under work. Maya stepping forward with a grace that seemed to steady the air, kneeling to Alex's level as he glared at her, asking, "Why do you think your mama would want you to fight like this?" The question disarming the boy, his scowl faltering as tears welled Ben, lowering the boat. Chris climbing down with a sheepish look. The room falling into an uneasy silence, Victor observing from the sidelines, his heart pounding with a mix of hope and fear. Maya continuing, "I'm Maya, and I'm not here to fight you. I'm here to listen. If you'll let me," her tone gentle but firm. The triplets exchanging wary glances, Alex muttering, "Maids always leave," Maya nodding. "I get it. Losing someone makes you scared to trust. But I've lost people too, and I learned it's okay to let someone new in." Victor stepping closer, his voice hoarse. "Can you handle this?" Maya meeting his eyes. "I can try if you'll let me stay." The decision made in that instant, Victor nodding his hands, trembling not from anger but from the faint stirrings of relief. The mansion's chaos, a mirror to his own fractured soul, the palm trees outside swaying as if in silent witness to a turning point. The monitors in the control room capturing the moment. Maya began to pick up a feather, the boys watching her with cautious curiosity. Victor retreating to his office to process the encounter, the weight of his guilt lifting slightly as he overheard her soft storytelling about a brave sea turtle, a tale that drew the boys closer, their voices murmuring responses, the sound, a melody he hadn't heard in months. The ocean breeze filtering through an open window carrying the promise of change into the once stifling mansion. The chandelier's crystals catching the light like tears of hope. And as the afternoon waned, Victor sat at his desk, the city skyline a blur beyond the glass. His mind racing with the possibility that this woman might be the one to bridge the chasm between him and his sons. The estate's walls no longer just a barrier, but a canvas for a new beginning. The chaos within, a testament to love lost, and Maya's presence, a quiet challenge to rebuild what had been broken. The palm fronds rustling outside like a heartbeat, steady and persistent, urging him toward a future he had almost forgotten to imagine. Maya Thompson's second day at the Hargrove mansion dawned with a deceptive calm, the Miami sun filtering through the floor-to-ceiling windows of the expansive kitchen, where the scent of fresh coffee mingled with the faint residue of yesterday's glitter and jam fiasco. Her mind already mapping out strategies to pierce the armor of grief. Encasing the triplets, Alex, Ben, and Chris, each boy's pain manifesting in unique ways that she had observed during her initial whirlwind entry. Alex's defiance, like a shield forged in anger. Ben's withdrawal, a fortress of silence. Chris's mischief, a smokescreen for vulnerability. And as Victor Hargrove rushed out the door with a hurried nod, his briefcase clutched like a lifeline to his tech empire, leaving her alone with the boys who eyed her warily. From the breakfast table, spoons hovering over bowls of cereal that grew soggier by the minute, Maya began with a tailored approach for Alex the ringleader, whose tantrums had toppled the previous maids, inviting him to an art session in the sun-drenched conservatory where canvases and paints awaited not as a distraction but as a conduit for expression, guiding his hand to splash bold reds and blacks onto the paper, asking softly, "What does that color feel like inside you?" His initial scowl giving way to a hesitant admission, like when Mom's boat didn't come back. The words unlocking a floodgate as he painted stormy waves. Maya sharing her own tale of losing her siblings in a group home separation. The parallel drawing him closer, his brush strokes softening into blues of reluctant calm. Transitioning seamlessly to Ben, the quiet observer who had barricaded himself behind books in the library. Maya leading him on a nature walk through the estate's overgrown gardens, the palm fronds rustling like whispers of forgotten memories, pointing out resilient weeds pushing through cracks in the pavement, comparing them to hearts mending after breaks. Ben's silence breaking with a whisper about Elena's favorite flowers. Maya kneeling to help him pick a bouquet, their conversation blooming into stories of his mother's laughter during picnics, the vulnerability coaxing him from his shell, and for Chris, the prankster whose jokes masked fear, she redirected his energy into structured games in the backyard pool area, rigging harmless booby traps with water balloons that taught cause and effect. Laughing alongside him as splashes soaked them both, turning mischief into bonding. Each interaction, a thread weaving trust. The boys' guarded postures easing by midday as they shared a lunch of sandwiches shaped like boats. A nod to their mother's love of the sea. Victor returning unexpectedly early to overhear their giggles, his heart clenching at the sound absent for so long. But the fragile peace shattered that afternoon when a leaked video surfaced online, captured by a disgruntled former maid, showing the triplets in full rebellion, flooding a bathroom, hiding keys, shrieking defiance, the clip going viral under headlines like "Billionaire's heirs unleashed uncontrollable chaos in the Hargrove home." Comments flooding in with judgments of spoiled privilege and negligent parenting. The media frenzy escalating as reporters camped outside the gates, their cameras flashing like lightning, prompting calls from Victor's board members questioning his focus, and worse, a notification from Child Protective Services demanding an assessment based on concerns for child welfare raised in public reports. Victor's face paling as he paced the study, his voice cracking as he confided in Maya. "This could destroy us. They'll see the video and think the boys are beyond help." Maya responding with steady resolve, gathering the family in the living room for a viewing of the viral clip. Not as punishment, but as a mirror, the screen flickering with their past antics. The boys' faces crumpling in shame, Alex muttering, "We look like monsters." Maya pausing the video to say, "No, you look like kids screaming for someone to hear your pain," facilitating a circle talk, where each shared a memory of Elena, tears flowing as Victor admitted his guilt over the accident. The vulnerability knitting them tighter. The session interrupted by a meltdown from Chris, who smashed a vase in frustration at the online hate, Maya diffusing it by involving them in a memory box activity, collecting mementos of Elena, like her scarf, a photo, a seashell, turning destruction into creation. The CPS worker arriving the next day amid the media storm, a stern official named Ms. Ellis, who entered with clipboard in hand and skepticism in her eyes, expecting bedlam, but finding the boys engaged in assembling the box, Alex explaining, "This is for Mom, so we remember her without being mad." Ben adding, "Maya showed us it's okay to cry." Chris offering her a drawing of a family boat, sailing calm seas, the authenticity, disarming Ms. Ellis, who spent hours observing Maya's techniques, art for Alex's anger, walks for Ben's introspection, games for Chris's energy. Her report later praising the empathetic environment, fostering healing. Victor's admiration swelling as he watched Maya navigate the scrutiny, the media backlash turning tides, when a counter video leaked, perhaps by a sympathetic insider, showing the boy's tender moments with her hashtags like Healing Hargroves trending. Victor confronting Maya in the garden at dusk, the ocean waves crashing in the distance, confessing, "You're not just surviving them, you're saving us all. I don't know what we'd do without you." Her response, a quiet smile. "You'd find a way, but I'm glad I'm here to help the boys," peeking from the window, their affection evident as they whispered, "Auntie Maya." The chapter of breakthroughs solidifying a foundation where empathy bridged the gaps. Grief had carved the mansion's chaos, evolving into purposeful activity. The palm trees outside standing sentinel to a family on the mend. Victor's confession marking the dawn of deeper reliance. The viral storm, a catalyst that instead of breaking them, forged unbreakable bonds. The Hargrove family stood transformed under the golden Miami sun, years after Maya's arrival had first pierced the veil of their grief. The mansion no longer a fortress of sorrow, but a vibrant hub, where the triplets, Alex, Ben, and Chris, now 11 years old, channeled their once destructive energy into pursuits that lit up their lives. Alex captaining a youth soccer team with the same fierce leadership that had once rallied his brothers in rebellion. His goals on the field, a metaphor for conquering inner storms. Ben immersing himself in marine biology clubs, diving into ocean studies that honored Elena's love of the sea. His quiet observations turning into passionate presentations at school fairs, and Chris directing school plays, his mischievous spark, evolving into creative direction that brought classmates together in applause-filled auditoriums, their report cards glowing with honors, not just in academics, but in empathy awards for mentoring younger students through loss support groups they had initiated. Victor scaling back his tech empire's demands to prioritize board meetings for the Elena Hargrove Foundation, a nonprofit born from Maya's suggestion during one of their late-night garden talks dedicated to providing therapy and adventure camps for children grieving parental loss. The Foundation's inaugural event, a boating safety workshop that turned painful memories into life-saving education, drawing hundreds of families to the mansion's grounds, where tents and booths buzzed with activity. Victor speaking at galas, with a poise he had rediscovered, crediting Maya for teaching him that vulnerability was the true mark of strength, their romance blossoming quietly amid the chaos of healing. Victor proposing on a serene beach at sunset, the waves lapping gently as he knelt with a ring that had belonged to Elena, reworked with new diamonds symbolizing blended past and future. Saying, "You didn't just mend our hearts, you became the beat that keeps us going." Maya accepting with tears mingling with the salt air. Their wedding, an intimate ceremony on the estate's dock, the triplets serving as best men in tailored suits. Alex delivering a toast about how Maya turned their war zone into a home. Ben reciting a poem he wrote on unity. Chris adding comic relief with a prank confetti cannon that showered everyone in biodegradable petals, the vows exchanged under a canopy of stars, Victor promising to cherish her insights as much as her love. Maya vowing to nurture their family's growth, like the resilient palms that withstood hurricanes. The honeymoon, a family affair in the Caribbean, where the boys learned snorkeling under Maya's watchful eye. Victor capturing moments on camera that filled albums with joy rather than absence. And upon return, the news of Maya's pregnancy bringing a new wave of excitement. The triplets buzzing with ideas for a nursery themed around ocean adventures, their protectiveness evident as they researched baby gear with the same intensity they once applied to pranks, the birth of their son Ethan. A joyous occasion in a sunlit hospital room. his cries echoing like a fresh start, the boys holding him with wide-eyed wonder. Alex whispering, "We'll teach you everything Mom taught us." Ben promising stories of the sea. Chris vowing fun games without the chaos. Ethan growing into a toddler who toddled after his big brothers. The family dynamic, a tapestry of blended ages and experiences. Maya launching her own nonprofit. The Thompson Resilience Network focused on training caregivers for traumatized youth, her expertise drawn from group home days, and Hargrove Trials, the organization gaining national acclaim through TED-style talks, where she shared anonymized stories of the Triplets' turnaround. Partnerships with universities leading to certification programs that equipped thousands, Victor funding expansions that reached inner-city programs. The mansion hosting annual retreats for families in similar straits. Laughter filling the halls as guests shared meals and workshops. The media that once vilified the boys now profiling them as inspirations, documentaries, capturing their journey from viral chaos to advocates. Alex speaking at conferences on youth mental health. Ben publishing a children's book on ocean conservation dedicated to Elena. Chris producing short films on family bonds. Their collective voice amplifying the Foundation's mission. Family vacations becoming traditions. Ski trips, where snow forts replaced destructive ones. European tours exploring history that paralleled their own rebuilding. African safaris teaching about wild resilience, mirroring Maya's stories of survival, and during anniversaries of Elena's passing, they gathered on the beach for lantern releases, each family member writing messages of gratitude. Victor's reading, "You gave us the boys. Maya helped us keep them whole. The waves carrying the lights out to sea, like blessings." Ethan, toddling along his innocent questions about Auntie Elena, met with gentle tales that wove her into the fabric of their lives. The Hargrove name shifting from scandal to synonym for hope in philanthropy circles. Victor and Maya co-authoring a book on blended family healing that hit bestseller lists, proceeds funneling back into the network's their dinner table, a nightly forum for dreams. Alex aspiring to law for justice, Ben to marine research, Chris to filmmaking, Ethan babbling about superheroes, the conversations a far cry from the silence of grief, community events at the estate, drawing crowds for fundraisers with celebrity guests. The boys emceeing with poise, Maya's speeches, emphasizing that resilience isn't born. It's nurtured through understanding. The palm trees standing as silent guardians to this evolution. Victor reflecting during a quiet sunrise jog that Maya's entry had been the pivot from despair to destiny. The mansion's walls echoing with life's symphony. And as they gathered for a family picnic on the lawn, blankets spread under the shade, laughter ringing as Ethan chased butterflies. Victor raising a glass to Maya, saying, "You didn't just arrive. You awakened us," the boys chiming in with toasts of their own. The scene a portrait of unity forged from fragments. The ocean horizon stretching endlessly, symbolizing possibilities. Unbound, the Hargrove story. A testament to how one person's empathy can rewrite a family's narrative. Inspiring viewers to embrace healing in their own lives. And if this tale of transformation touched your heart, like, share, and subscribe for more stories that prove love conquers all. The Hargrove family's transformation unfolded like a sunrise over Miami's glittering coastline. The mansion's once shadowed halls now bathed in the warm glow of renewed purpose, years slipping by in a tapestry of milestones that wove grief into gratitude. Victor Hargrove scaling back his tech empire to prioritize the intangible wealth of family bonds. Launching Hargrove Horizons, a foundation dedicated to supporting widowed parents through grief counseling apps and community hubs, inspired by Maya's innovative approaches to emotional healing. The triplets, Alex, Ben, and Chris, blossoming into young men whose early turbulence forged unbreakable resilience. Alex channeling his leadership into captaining the school debate team, winning state championships with arguments rooted in empathy for the underserved. Ben's introspective nature evolving into a passion for writing his poems about loss and renewal, published in youth anthologies that raised funds for orphanages. Chris turning his mischievous energy into inventing gadgets like a smart toy that helped kids express feelings through interactive stories, earning him a spot in a national Young Innovators program. The boys volunteering at the Foundation's events, mentoring younger children who mirrored their past struggles, their stories shared in TEDx talks, where they spoke of Maya's role as the anchor who taught us to sail through storms. Victor proposing to Maya on a serene beach at sunset, the waves lapping like applause as he knelt with a ring engraved with Elena's favorite quote, "Love multiplies when shared." Maya accepting with tears of joy the wedding, an intimate affair on the estate's grounds under a canopy of palm trees, the triplets serving as best men in tailored suits. Their vows to Maya, promising to protect our family like you protected our hearts. The ceremony blending tributes to Elena with new traditions like releasing lanterns into the night sky, symbolizing light in darkness. And months later, the family welcoming a son, Ethan, whose arrival filled the mansion with the cries of new life. The triplets doting on their baby brother with a fierce protectiveness. Alex reading him bedtime stories of brave adventurers, Ben composing lullabies on a guitar Maya had gifted him. Chris building a mobile with glowing stars that projected Elena's constellation. Ethan growing amidst a chorus of love that echoed through the halls. The Foundation expanding to international partnerships, collaborating with organizations in Africa and Latin America to provide tech-based therapy tools for grieving families. Maya at the helm as CEO, her group home background fueling programs like mentorship exchanges where survivors shared virtual stories across continents, drawing acclaim from global conferences where she keynoted on resilience as a collective force. Victor funding scholarships in Elena's name for women in tech. His boardroom decisions now infused with a human-centered ethic that boosted company morale and profits, the family embarking on annual vacations to places Elena had dreamed of. Italian vineyards, Hawaiian beaches, where they created new memories while honoring old ones like scattering wildflower seeds in her memory. The mansion renovated with open spaces for community gatherings, hosting art therapy workshops, where local kids painted their emotions, the triplets leading sessions with a maturity that belied their age. Media outlets revisiting the viral scandal years later in positive retrospectives titled From Chaos to Compassion. The Hargrove Redemption, featuring interviews where Victor credited Maya with rewriting our story from tragedy to triumph. The Foundation's impact measured in thousands of lives. Touched families reunited through counseling children, empowered through education, grants, communities strengthened by support networks. And on Elena's anniversary, the family gathered at the beach where Victor had proposed releasing boats made from biodegradable materials adorned with messages of love. Ethan's tiny hand waving one as the waves carried them out, symbolizing continuity. Maya reflecting during quiet evenings on the porch, her hand in Victor's as they watched the stars whispering, "We turned pain into purpose." The triplets now teenagers pursuing passions. Alex interning at a law firm advocating for foster kids. Ben publishing a book of essays on grief. Chris patenting an app for emotional tracking. Their bond with Ethan, a playful mentorship, teaching him to swim in the pool where once water balloons had rained the mansion alive with the sounds of board games and family dinners. Victor semi-retired to focus on philanthropy, co-authoring articles with Maya on corporate responsibility in mental health. Their story inspiring documentaries that highlighted how one person's empathy could cascade into societal change. The Foundation's annual gala, becoming a star-studded event, raising millions. Celebrities sharing stages with beneficiaries. The Hargroves at the center, not as icons but as humble stewards. Ethan toddling into the spotlight with innocent charm. The family's photo albums blending old pictures of Elena with new ones of adventures. A wall in the living room dedicated to Our Journey, collages of before and after. That guests marveled at during open houses. Maya starting a podcast interviewing resilience experts. Her voice, a soothing guide for listeners worldwide. Victor, surprising her with a sabbatical trip to trace her ancestry roots, strengthening her sense of identity. The Triplets, graduating high school with honors speeches thanking Maya for being the mom who chose us. Ethan clapping enthusiastically from the audience, the foundation evolving into a global network, with satellite offices partnering on research for grief tech, like VR memory recreations. The family's holidays filled with traditions. Thanksgiving feasts for local orphans, Christmas toy drives, the mansion's gates open to the community, fostering a sense of belonging that healed old wounds. Victor and Maya renewing vows on their 10th anniversary with the children. As witnesses, Ethan ring bearer, the event. A celebration of enduring love. The Triplets, now in college, pursuing degrees in psychology, engineering, and literature, returning home for summers to volunteer. Ethan's first words, family strong, echoing their mantra, the story of the Hargroves becoming a case study in universities on family dynamics, post-loss. Maya's book, Healing Hearts from Chaos to Connection, a bestseller translated into multiple languages. Victor funding a scholarship in her name for caregivers from disadvantaged backgrounds. The mansion's garden, blooming with Elena's favorite roses, intertwined with Maya's chosen orchids, symbolizing blended beauty. The ocean waves, a constant reminder of life's ebb and flow. The family's annual beach memorials evolving into joyful picnics, where stories of Elena mingled with plans for the future. Ethan asking questions that sparked new conversations. The foundation's impact reaching epidemic proportions during global crises, providing virtual support groups that saved lives. The Hargroves featured in Time magazine as architects of empathy. Their humility shining through interviews. The Triplets starting their own initiatives. Alex's legal aid clinic, Ben's writing retreats for grieving youth, Chris's tech startup for emotional AI, the cycle of giving perpetuating, Maya and Victor watching sunsets from the porch, hands clasped, reflecting on how one ad had led to this abundance. Ethan's laughter ringing from the yard as he played with neighborhood kids invited over the mansion. No longer a symbol of isolation, but a hub of communal warmth. The palm trees swaying in approval, the family's bond. A testament to love's multiplying power. Their story whispered in Miami's streets as a legend of rebirth, encouraging others to embrace empathy where despair once ruled, and in the quiet moments Victor would turn to Maya saying, "You didn't just arrive, you awakened us." Her reply, a smile that lit the night, the waves crashing eternally carrying their legacy forward.